So once you move on, amazing things begin to happen. And it's kind of ironic because once we move on, that's when exactly what we want starts to occur. And it's one of those ironies of life. And that's because usually it's the paradox of life is that if you don't try to attain something, you usually have a high likelihood of attaining it. If you're not aware of somebody's presence where you work or where you go to school, if you're not aware of them, you have a high likelihood of making them like you than if you actually tried, right? So today we're going to be talking about what tends to happen when we move on and why it's actually kind of difficult to move on because of this weird phenomenon. It keeps people in unsatisfying relationships simply because they don't understand how human nature works. Something weird happens when you move on that people sense, like a sixth sense for fucking happiness. It's unbelievable, man. When you're happy, that's when they text you. You know, when you get it, when you're finally fear of drugs, that's when your drug friends start hitting you up. When you finally get in a relationship, that's when your ex comes back. It's the weirdest thing. So let's talk about this. And don't forget, people, if you guys want to work with me one-on-one, click on the description down below, and there you'll be able to book a one-on-one session with me. Also, we're selling our paintings. This painting sold yesterday. We're gonna do a little clap, people. Thank you very much, whoever bought it. I'm gonna send it over today. Oh no, they still gotta send me their address. It's for $50. This one is with pastels. I made it myself. It's around what do we call it? I think it's a thousand. And this was done by my student of Leonardo da Vinci, and that was $300, right? So all of these that are made by me are 1,000, and another Mudang painting done by my student, and that's also $300. You guys can purchase it in the description down below, okay? And 50 pesos too. Thank you for purchasing it. It's really cool, man. I'm not gonna close the channel, people. I was about to close the channel, but you guys purchased it. Okay, so let's begin. So the first thing that happens when you finally move on is that you finally start doing what my video says. All of the strategy that I say are not difficult to do. The hard thing is having the detachment, because when you do these strategies, it feels like you're pushing them away, right? But that's why when you don't like the motherfucker, when you don't like someone, you tend to push them away a little bit, and that actually is really attractive. But the reason why most people just are afraid to do what I say in the videos, it just feels like you're pushing them. You know what I mean? But it's like we don't pay attention. Why is it that when we don't notice someone, they fall in love? Why is it that when we're in a happy relationship, people fall in love? And that's because we're just paying less attention. We have a more of a relaxed energy. Because what truly turns people off is tense energy, and that usually happens because you're afraid. It's almost like when you're putting something through a needle, right? Let's just say that you can ask me, as a zoom my. Let's just say this is a needle, right? And you're trying to put a fucking hay thing through the needle. If you're nervous, if you're trying to put it through the needle, you'll shake a lot. But if you're just moving the needle without the intention of putting it through a hole, you actually are more calm. But as soon as you try to put it through a hole, all of a sudden you get tense. That's what happens, right? My strategies are better when you have a relaxed mind and you're willing to walk away. But that usually happens once you don't give a fuck no more. Like once you stop caring, that's when they start coming back. It's crazy, man. I should make a video about that. Once you stop caring, this begins to happen. Next thing is that the next thing what happens is that once you move on, they always come back. And the reason why that is because people can sense your happiness. They're like, I feel someone's happy. I don't like that shit. Let me hit her up. You know, oh my God, someone's happy. Let me text that motherfucker, right? People can sense that. People can sense when they're not the center of your life. You gotta understand, sometimes people just like being admired by the people who love us back. Sometimes people just want to be worshipped. Sometimes people just want to be admired. And when you finally stop making them their center, when you finally stop mourning them, people can sense that, right? And also it's because once you move on, you stop texting them, you start talking to them, you start trying to come back. They can sense that something's off. And sometimes when they feel like that there's something off, they want to go Scooby-Doo mode and explore, right? So that's one thing that once you move on, they always come back. The next thing is that you finally realize your value. They finally realize your value. It's only through nostalgia that you see how great of a time you had in the past. Like right now, where I'm living at right now, I'm happy where I am, but I can promise you 5 years from now, if I do move, I'm gonna say, man, that was a great time. Like this moment, I'm gonna say, man, like I remember I used to wake up, make videos in such a nice space, and that is gonna be a nostalgia. The thing is that a lot of people who are bien malagradecidos and cabeza duras, they never value, they don't know how to value things. They're ungrateful people. Like good things, it's like a kid who has all the options, who has all the toys. That little ungrateful ass, Cartman ass looking motherfucking baby, sorry, sorry. They don't know what they have because they have so much excess. And that usually happens with us, is that when you lose someone, you forget the negative, right? When you move on, they forget the bad things about you, and they only remember the good things. That's how the mind filters out information. It's almost like I don't know how to draw it, but it's almost like it prunes your memories. It removes the negative memories, and it creates. It's almost like a sculpture that has imperfection, right? So let's just say, zoom in here. Let's just say this is like a sculpture, right? Right. This is a sculpture, and it's got this, right? And so you have imperfections in the sculpture, right? So maybe you prune out the negative things. You make it look more attractive. You remove that fat chin, right? You give him an extra chin, right? You give him this, you give him that. That's what the mind does. It prunes memories so that it could give you a pleasurable memory to remember it, right? So when you move on, it literally the mind starts to Photoshop you in their minds, like it starts doing some fucking AI shit, and you start to look more attractive. The memories they had, like I talk about in my previous videos, they enhance it through like a nostalgic filter. Like the more time passes, the boring moments start to take on greater meaning. It's truly a beautiful thing. So they start to realize your value. But you got to realize this is only temporary because they're only mourning you. It's like when a loved one dies. Like it is a mourning, and the mourning period of them wanting you back. Once they finally start to accept that you're gone, that's when they'll move on. But in the beginning, they are mourning you, so they'll come back. But you got to realize is that if there's a reason why you broke up, right? They'll come back and they'll tell you what you want to hear. Like once you leave them, that's when they start telling you that's when people, it's early in the morning. That's when they start offering you what you want to hear. So they start to see your value. And that's why sometimes absence creates this to a certain extent, right? And the next thing, oh Lord, another fucking quiz, people. What did I put here? You start to see how bad, oh yeah. You start to see how bad they are to you. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you start to see what other people see, that maybe they're not that good for you, that maybe you guys are not that compatible, that maybe you were projecting and they weren't the person who you thought they were. Everyone can see about yourself. You start to finally see through the illusion, right? Your eyes begin to open up to see the type of person that they really are, right? That you start to see that, holy shit, this person is a fucking horrible person. But the only thing that does that is time. It's like when you're in a cult. When you finally get out of the cult, you start to see that you were in a cult, right? And that's when you start. And what that really means is that your emotions have gone down, like your reptilian brain calmed down, and your frontal cortex is finally being strengthened. That means you're moving on, right? When you start to see them rationally, oh my God, look at that, they're a horrible person, they're an asshole. How come I didn't see that before? It's like when you move out of your friend's place, you move out to a new city, you come back to your friends, and they're completely different, and you feel like you don't connect with them anymore, right? Like you just change. And breakups, sometimes it's a beautiful thing because if you're smart, breakups can really change you for the good, right? And the next thing is that you see them. Next thing is that you see them as they are. Oh, there you go. So not only do you see that they weren't good for you because they were toxic, right? You start to see that this relationship wasn't really a healthy relationship, but also you see them as they are, right? You start to see all of the negative traits. When you like someone, you got to remember there's a halo effect, right? There's a halo effect whenever, you can check this right here. There's a halo effect whenever you like someone, that you start to only see the positive traits. A little halo will cause you to only see good things in the person. And that is a bias, but that bias is there because, humans are not that lovable. You need a cognitive bias to truly love someone because they have flaws. And your brain needs to find a way to get over those flaws. And the way it does that it creates a halo effect, right? Um, and the last thing, this is actually a really good one, is that you start to see how badly you settled. People sometimes, we don't notice ourselves settling with people, right? But let's quickly go over this, right? Before we go into that point. So remember, you start to do what my videos say, meaning you start to apply my strategies without knowing it, and that actually gets people attracted to you. They always come back. Once you move on, they always come back. They realize your value, but that's only temporary. And the next thing is that you start to see how bad they are to you, how bad this relationship was, which in other words, how much you settled. You're like, damn, y'all, like I could have done better than that. But sometimes we settle because that's what's available, And then you start to see them as they are. You're like, ugh, they're nasty. Like, ugh, I cannot believe I like that person, right? And the reason why that is because a lot of the times when we fall in these types of relationships, we sort of do it in a different state of mind. And usually when you're in a negative, sad, or something bad is happening to you, usually like you wouldn't really like entertain that type of person, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is that when you meet people, like if you're dating someone, moving on comes with a hurdle. And sometimes they come back to you to keep you back, right? I want you guys to understand that if you want someone to get you, if you want someone to come back to you, you have to do what my videos say. Like these strategies work, but they work really well to the point that when you leave and you're trying to move on, they come back. And sometimes, ironically, what you have to do is literally just be needy and creepy, and all of a sudden they'll move on from you, right? But when you're trying to do well for you, that's why it's so difficult, man. That's why it's so difficult to really do well in life, because when we try to improve, the past always comes back to us. And it always comes back as a way to draw you back to the old habits. And you have to remember that that's your past. Like this person hasn't changed. They may tell you they changed because that's what they do, man. When they feel like you're finally moving on, they'll tell you what you want to hear. They'll give you what you want until you're finally hooked again. And now they'll start acting the same. There's a reason why you broke up with them. Don't go back to exes. Once it's over, it's over. The thing is, this even happens to me, is that you just forget why you broke up with them. You forget why. You forget why you don't want to see them. As time passes by, all of the negative memories are pruned out, like I said, and it only keeps the positive. So sometimes it's always good to write down why you move on from this person. It's like me, like when I used to have a bad drug habit, I remember writing down why I don't want to go back, why I don't want to do that no more. Why? Because it's so easy to forget and just remember the positives and go back to your old habits. You'll just remember how they made you feel, how good they made you feel, but then you completely ignore how bad they made you feel as well. That's why it's so good to have a diary. Anyways, let me know if you guys enjoyed this video. Check out my paintings, people. Purchase them. Look, man, you guys, someone bought my painting. I'm not gonna close the channel. So the threat did work. So because of that, if nobody buys my next painting, I'ma close the channel. I swear to. I'm kidding. I'm not gonna close it. Anyways, take care. Bye bye.
If you guys enjoyed this video, you guys can check out my other courses that are more in-depth and more profound, such as the Psychological Game of Attraction, which is a course for women who are single, Natural Chemistry, which is a self-help course on women on how to build how to embrace their masculine energy, how to embrace their feminine energy, Natural Chemistry, which is a course for women who are in relationships, Charisma Blueprint, which is a course on how to build charisma, Emotional Mastery, which is a course on how to become emotionally resilient. It's pretty much, I teach you what I use to manifest my current life, to be honest with you. And you could purchase them all by joining the Mindful Attraction University, where you could purchase all of my courses. Usually all of my courses are $99. If you purchase all of them, you could get, I believe is $3.99. You could purchase them all. And there you'll be able to get access. And if you don't like the course, you guys can get a refund from Father Alex. Father Alex doesn't scam his subscribers. Father Alex is here to help. So if you guys feel like this video helped, trust me, you will like the course, because it's very rarely that the courses that you purchase from me don't work for that, whatever you're trying to. A lot of people purchase natural chemistry to improve their relationships with their partners, and it works. There's plenty of testimony. Just go to the website, Psychological Game of Attraction. If you're single and you apply that course, you won't be single for long. Right? I'm telling you, if you're somebody who's overly masculine or you have too much feminine energy, check out the feminine woman. It'll teach you how to balance it so that you could have that sensation where you're feminine, but there's strength emanating from you, right? I mean, too many women have that feminine energy, but it emanates as weakness. I'm here to teach you guys how to use your masculine so that you could strengthen and show that feminine energy without really looking way too masculine or way too feminine. And that allows you to have that beautiful balance that men respect, but also find attractive, right? So you can purchase it right now by clicking on the description down below, and I'll see you guys inside. Take care.